Over recent years, I've had another explanation that I find tantalizing, and I don't know if it's right or not. It relates to the fact that throughout the Gospels, there is a problem with believing in the resurrection that is specific to the disciples. You would think that if Jesus was raised from the dead and, they talked to him later, that they'd all believe. But in the Gospels, every time somebody finds the empty tomb, for example, they can't figure out what it means. They doubt what it means. And when Jesus appears to his disciples, often like they doubt it's him. They don't believe it's him. And they can't believe it's him. And what's all this doubt thing? And in Mark's gospel, the disciples never even hear about the resurrection. Why would you end a gospel that way? One historical solution, I think, which is not widely spread about that I know of among scholars, but it's one that I think is a real possibility, is that some of the disciples of Jesus, some of the 12, did not actually believe he got raised from the dead. And Mark's gospel, in part, is trying to explain that, as are the others. Why are people doubting the whole time? It may be because disciples doubted. Some of the disciples doubted, and were known to have doubted. Why is it some of the disciples, why don't the disciples hear about it? Well, maybe Mark knows that some of the disciples never did come to believe it, that he was raised from the dead. Now, of course, we have accounts in the book of Acts that all the 12 disciples saw Jesus and believed it. In later Gospels, the disciples all believe it, even doubting Thomas in the Gospel of John. So in the Christian tradition that develops, of course, all the 12 disciples believe it. They all become missionaries and so forth and so on. But Mark is writing at an early stage. Is it possible that Mark knows that there are disciples who act, we don't know. Part of the problem is when we say the disciples, we're talking about 12 people, and we're not even sure who these people were. They're named in the Gospels, but the Gospels give different names for some of them. And so we have very little record of them. Maybe Mark knew some of them never came to believe. That would explain his ending, I think, and the way he's showing the disciples never do get it.
It's interesting that Mark goes through the whole gospel showing that they're told time and time again and they don't understand. And then right at the end, they're not even shown. It seems like a kind of way maybe to explain their lack of belief rather than saying, they saw him, they were shown evidence, they were just too stupid to really understand it.
Yeah. So he's not going to do that because Mark wants people to believe that Jesus is the Messiah because of the resurrection. But what would you do if you knew that some of the disciples didn't believe it? Well, you could make up stories that they all came to believe, but maybe people in Mark's community know that, Nathaniel never believed it, or that Bartholomew didn't believe it, or that, Philip never believed it. It's like, maybe they know that. I don't know. It's pure speculation, but any solution is pure speculation. In other words, it's not like that speculation versus, my interpretation. They're all speculation, and you have to weigh it. And I'm really impressed with how these stories of the resurrection include so much doubt that we never scholars don't even point this out. And it seems to me there needs to be a historical explanation for why there's doubt in all of these narratives. The funniest of all is funny. It's unusual. In the book of Acts, chapter 1, verse 3, where Jesus does appear to all the disciples, the 11 remaining disciples, he spends 40 days with them, proving with many proofs that he was raised from the dead. Why would he need to spend 40 days proving it? Why? What is that? It's got to be because there were some people who thought the disciples continued to doubt after the resurrection.